kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
From the Milwaukee Mile, the Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series is one race away from going to Phoenix and crowning a champion for this season's champion winner. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Regal here alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Jordan Brockel, and we're here on Sim Racing Media to bring you all of the action tonight live from the Milwaukee Mile. We're going to be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Jordan, it's been a minute since we've gotten a chance to work together. In fact, I don't think we've done so since before we went to Miami, so at least September. A lot has changed here in the Racers Elite Cup Series. We're finally ready to get it underway, as right now, John Ross, who has been on a tear the last several weeks, looks to do it again here tonight in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and I want to say it's probably been a while since I've been on air for quite some time, dealing with sickness, still fighting it, but here tonight with none other than you, Dave. And it should be a great, wonderful night, as the Racers Elite always puts on a dominant show each and every race that they put on. So looking forward to this. As you know, you said there, John Ross showing domination already, and it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Not one bit at all. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Of course, we're live on Facebook, Twitch, and traditionally YouTube as well. So, folks, make sure that you check in with us on all of those platforms. Smash that like button. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you can find us every time we go live here on Sim Racing Media, as qualifying has wrapped up. And that means that we're ready to go 120 blistering laps here at the Milwaukee Mile. We're ready to go down trackside here as drivers are getting ready to hop into their racing machines. We see Dennis Kane and Larry Koblenz hopping in, getting inside the window net, getting those all put up as we see every week here. There's the double nickel of Truth Hoke, and that's where we begin tonight as we go through our starting lineup. Truth Hoke and John Ross, they're going to be on row number 1. They're going to be followed by Lee Campbell and Leroy Koblenz in row 2. Row 3 going to feature Brandon Honeycutt and Dennis Kane, while Andrew Teft and Alex Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, going to be starting in row number 4. Row 5 is Kirby Wainscott and our very own teammate Alan Bergen in his best qualifying session of the season, as he's going to round out our starting top 10. Troy Thomas and Kensley Smith going to be in row number 6, while row 7 going to feature Rob Yost and Chantel Pottle. And starting last, actually, Chantel going to be our race controller tonight. So starting shotgun on the field, going to be Curtis Ecker in the number 19 machine. We see him in the Jack Daniels and Cola Chevrolet Camaro. So 14 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight as we look at our race info here, folks. And things getting ready to heat up here as it's 68 degrees in the stands. And that track temperature hovering just about, what is that, 96, I think it is. It's too small for me to see on my screen. I'm going to go with that one. But it's going to be an interesting night, Jordan.
Absolutely. I mean, and with these older tracks, I mean, it's going to tear up these tires. Excuse me, as had to clear out a little bit there. It's going to be a little toasty, not quite too hot, but these older tracks, they tear up the tires a lot quicker. So tire management's going to be big here, and as always, fuel mileage. You want to try to get the best fuel mileage possible while going as fast as possible, which is a lot easier said than done.
Getting a look here from Barney up in the flag stand as he gets ready to watch the pace car lead us down into turn number 1 as these drivers have waited all season long to get to this point. You'll see those playoff drivers highlighted in blue once we drop the green flag and get that timing and scoring set up for you, as now we start to see them come off of the start-finish line. As we get ready to form up, drivers, maybe a little bit of tire smoke here as they've got a little bit of excitement there in that throttle foot.
Yeah, I heard someone come across the radio, said wrong gear. So definitely a little antsy already here before we even get underway. So should be interesting.
Interesting is one way to put it, as the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means that we'll be going green flag racing this time by, as all 14 of these drivers are hungry to pick up a win. Of course, as I had mentioned, John Ross basically has dominated the last several weeks here in this league as the iRacing.com pace car brings us into turns 3 and 4. Truth Hoke with control of the field. He's got John Ross to his outside. The double nickel and the 44 on the front row. They're followed by the 60 and the 42. The iRacing.com pace car gets ready to make the hard left turn down pit road. And the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some Milwaukee Miller Lite and settle in. Race fans, it's show time.
Yeah, and you see John Ross already fighting on that outside line. I mean, you saw, I believe it's Honeycutt already falling back a couple car lengths there. But Ross not wanting to give up. He's going to hang outside there of the 55 of Truth Hoke.
Yeah, Truth Hoke trying to defend the lead as they come out of turn number 4 and back toward the front stretch. Barney up here in the flag stand. We watch him drag race down the front stretch, and Truth Hoke going to get control of the field for lap number 1. We want to thank all of you for tuning in, as always, as Truth Hoke here in the double nickel Wrangler Chevrolet Camaro leads John Ross, and that's something that we haven't said a whole lot this season, as John Ross has just been lights out all season long. We now take a peek back here to the number 13. That's Brandon Honeycutt in the Dr. Enough Toyota Camry. He rolls it out of turn 4 as he's now starting to gap Lee Campbell by about 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, and that's another car to watch all night long. Is Brandon Honeycutt's always dominant, has a strong car. It's just he always has trouble with the endings of races where something that's out of his power taking him out of it. So as long as he can kind of avoid that bad luck, he's gonna have another dominant finish here once again, and maybe even be fighting for that top spot. Like we see John Ross going to the inside of the 55 now.
John Ross battling it out for the lead alongside of Truth Hoke. The interesting thing here is out of the 9 races that have already been won, or have already been run, that is, Brandon Honeycutt's got 3 wins. John Ross has the other 6. So the question is, does Brandon Honeycutt get win number 4, or does John Ross get number 7? These 2 drivers all season long have done nothing but control this league. And what that really does is it starts to raise the bar for the other drivers in the league to try to figure out a way how to boogie around these guys and figure out how to beat them. You have to understand that this is a fixed setup league, folks. So what that means is that everybody's chassis is exactly the same. The only thing that makes it different is a couple of creature comforts. It's a steering ratio, a brake bias adjustment. That's it. So what we're seeing out of these drivers is pure skill, not necessarily set up prowess.
Yeah, and I mean, and I typically tend to lean towards the fixed series because it's a lot more challenging in my opinion. You can put anybody in a great setup and they can run good, and then the great guys they'll shine even more. But for everybody to be on the exact same setup, the exact car, and just again have those little bits of comfort that you can change around. I mean, it really shows who the dominant drivers are, and I know each and every week that I start a race, those guys that are winning each and every week, for this league being Honeycutt and Ross, I want to go out and I want to match them, or I want to be within a certain amount of time of them, and it drives you a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, 7 laps in here tonight, total of 120 laps, and we already start to see some of that cream rise to the top. John Ross just laid fast time down at a 31-second flat time. Brandon Honeycutt running P2 right now with Lee Campbell in close tow as we work now toward lap number 8. I mean, I see a lot of drivers laying their fastest times of the night down at the same time that John Ross does, and I mean, now 31.11 for Honeycutt, 31.24 for Truth Hoke, 31.51 for Curtis Eckert. Those are the best performances of their evenings individually. So, I mean, for lack of a better term, Jordan, these guys are going to have to figure out another way to get up here to John Ross. And you can get up to him, but can you pass him? As, of course, Dave Regal and Jordan Brockell with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You've got the Mid-Atlantic boys with you here. As now Brandon Honeycutt has laid down a 30.97 second lead.
You said the Mid-Atlantic boys, and I'm sitting here thinking of, you make that an acronym, and it turns into MAB, and I'm thinking it sounds like somebody that's from that New York, New Jersey area. But you see Brandon Honeycutt finally puts down his even faster time of a 30.97, so he takes over a fastest time. But, Ross still well enough ahead of him right now as Ross actually matches his best time at a 31.0. And, I mean, that's consistent. And, I mean, we're already 10 laps into this. Usually you see a tiny, teensy bit of fall off early on depending on how hard they're pushing. But, maybe someone like Truth Hoke, pushed just a touch bit too hard. He's already in the 31.50s after being in the 31.0s early on.
As we get that audio back the way that it's supposed to be, of course, folks, that's going to be, there we go. Bill Kelly saying, today's the day, boys. Chicken Coop Racing giving us the chicken and checkered flag. And Lindsay Bechter, that's Honey Buns, checking in going, Ayo! As she's here tonight. She is on assignment this evening, as a matter of fact, on babysitting duty.
That shows you the difference, too. When I read Hey Yo, I thought of, the good old Razor Ramon going, Hey Yo.
No. This is a Philly thing. Hey Yo, my man. If somebody in Philadelphia stops you on the street and starts with, Hey Yo, my man, you better keep it pushing. They're about to ask you for something.
Like the dude from Everybody Hates Chris. Let me hold $1.
Yes. I told you not to give that monster no tree fitty as we go on board here with Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. He's trailing his very own brother by just about 4/10 of a second now, it appears. He's got 3/10 back to our very own Troy Thomas in the 3 machine. But Andrew Teft here chasing down his brother Alex. 2 playoff drivers in at it again. Actually, Alex Teft not a playoff driver in the Cup Series. He is in the other one that I called the other night. But Andrew Teft, a playoff driver, trying to get around his brother. As John Ross and Brandon Honeycutt lead the way, John Ross now out to a 1 and nearly 3/4 of a second lead.
Yeah, and something I want to touch on that I said at the top of the broadcast, that, you know, saving is going to be an important thing, you know, making sure you keep those tires under you. You know, Andrew Teft is one of the kings at that. And, you know, I've seen him be able to run fast times, but yet still save enough that he's still just as fast as he was on lap 1, 2, 3, you know, early in that run. And, you know, I look for him to once he gets a little bit more maybe settled in, he's going to find his way through these guys. It's not a lot of passing opportunities here. As you see, that bottom line is the dominant line. You don't really go much further up from there. But one man that can certainly save and go fast is going to be that number 98 machine of Andrew Teft.
Yeah, you know, just as you were saying that low line's not really holding, we saw the higher line work out for Andrew Teft as he gets around Alex Teft and now starts to put his sights on Dennis Kane, who's about 1.6 seconds ahead of him. And, you know, you mentioned that Andrew Teft is great at saving. He's not just good at saving tires. This man is a genius when it comes to saving fuel. I've watched Andrew Teft lead a race and clutch himself to the end of a fuel run better than anybody else that I've seen on iRacing. And dare I say, even in the real world, I mean, Andrew is, I don't get it. I mean, it was incredible to watch a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I happened to be going on board in his car, and all of a sudden I noticed that there was no sound. And I thought there was something wrong. And sure enough, there wasn't anything wrong. He was just doing everything right. Yeah,
and I'm starting to wonder if we need to, like, tech this car like one of Smokey Unix cars. You know, it might have that extra, you know, that extra inch of fuel line, or maybe it's routed through the frame rails or something like that. Because I mean, it's just like he saves so much that you just look at it and you think to yourself, how? Like, how do you save that much?
Shirley Dawson over on YouTube saying, "Go Kensley Smith." Shirley, thank you for tuning in and making us a part of your evening. As we're working lap number 18, you're watching the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series. Earlier on this season, I tried to get to drop the Next Gen portion of the Cup Series because you know, at this point, this is the Cup car. It's nothing new anymore, as we're in our you know, another full season of racing with this version of the Cup car. But you know what? At this point, it's more like a reflex. It's definitely still the Next Gen car. I see Alan Bergen registering as having crashed a moment ago. Let's see what happened with him. Alan here. It must be Italian. It's a major award as he dirt tracks his... Whoa, Alan. Hey. Easy.
It's fragile.
That car is fragile, and he immediately gets off the racetrack, which, of course, you know, saves us from a caution. And that's one of the things that I feel like defines this league better than almost anything else that I see on iRacing. You know, one of the things that these drivers do week in and week out that I think that they genuinely practice is not wrecking. You know, you may see things get a little chippy toward the end of a race, and maybe we get littered with a couple of yellow pieces of laundry. But overall, I see nothing but great racing from these drivers every time I log in.
Oh, absolutely. And I had the pleasure of running with a lot of these guys for the Snowball Derby. And when I tell you, like, these guys are fast, I pitted before these guys, and they were still running times way faster than I could even imagine. And if you're on older stuff, don't even try to fight them. Get out of the way. Just get out of the way. I think like a lap into a restart, Andrew Teft and Kensley Smith, the two that I can remember mostly, found their way through at least 15 cars within that lap just by just being them, and their talent in racing. So it's insane.
Well, and a lot of these guys, they wind up working racing together multiple nights of the week, whether it's the Truck Series, the Cup Series, so on and so forth. So they get used to one another's driving styles. And one of the things that I think that iRacing teaches better than almost anything else is patience. One of my biggest flaws as a driver back in the day when I was in the cockpit was I was very impatient. If I went out there with fresh tires, I was ripping those things off in like 7 laps. Didn't matter where I was. All of a sudden, I was on, bald rubber after 7 laps because I thought, oh my goodness, I've got a rocket ship all of a sudden. These guys are more than willing to just go out there, hit their marks, run their own race, and get it done. And even in identical setups like we have in a fixed setup league like this, I mean, we're seeing some incredible moves as now Dennis Kane and Andrew Teft. Finally, Andrew Teft, I mean, there's the patience factor. Andrew Teft quietly worked his way up here over all of this time that we've been talking since we saw him get around his brother Alex, and now slides directly in front of Dennis Kane. There was a 1.6 second gap.
Teft.
I just
the
saw
other Teft brother had
Alex Teft sideways. Let's see what just happened with him there as we go to the replay screen. Almost exactly what happened with Allen.
Yeah, and I would almost guarantee he got the dreaded words, "You've got wheel damage," from that spotter, from that impact there.
Absolutely. But getting back to Andrew Teft, I mean, there was a 1.6 second gap, 1.66 at one point, that he was behind Dennis Kane. And by running his own race, taking his time, going out here and just hitting those marks, he manages to get past Dennis Kane. Now he puts Rob Yost Jr. in his sights, and Rob Yost Jr. gapping him right now by 3.3 seconds in the number 83 Red Bull Toyota Camry. And I got to be honest, I'd be curious to watch all of a sudden, wow. Yeah, he just cut in by about 0.2 of a second, did Andrew Teft. So we're going to start to see some of that gap evaporate now between Rob Yost. This is the kind of stuff that I come into the booth for every Thursday night. This is what keeps me coming back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the different driving styles across the entire series is just fun to watch. And again, like I told you, Andrew Teft will find his way through all of these guys and be there at the end. And it's not going to be easy by any means to get around these guys, but he will definitely have his nose in there somewhere.
As we go through the field, we'll take a look at him. Here's John Ross driving the number 44 Sim Motion Ford Mustang. He's followed by the Toyota of Brandon Honeycutt and then a Chevrolet in the form of Truth Hoke. Then Lee Campbell runs in 4th right now. He's being chased down by Leroy Koblenz in the number 42 Sim Motion Ford Mustang. And I'm starting to wonder, me personally, if maybe Koblenz is starting to creep in on here as the Dover, Delaware native, another Mid-Atlantic boy, running here just behind Lee Campbell. I mean, Dover, that's in your backyard, buddy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's right around the corner, down the street, about 25, 30 minutes. So yeah, that's my area. And let me tell you, best racetrack in all of NASCAR, in my opinion. It's an unpopular opinion, but Dover, top tier.
Oh, without a doubt. A couple of years ago, I got a chance to go with a couple of drivers from the Sunday Night NASCAR Family of Racing Series to the Dover Xfinity Day. And we wound up stopping at the Waffle House in Smyrna. That was an experience in and of itself. Then
Waffle House is just...
it was a special experience.
I start to believe that Waffle Houses are mirages for certain periods of time. They're not actually there, you just think you're there.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely was trying to think that I wasn't there after a while. I did like the seasoning on my eggs, though. I love the taste of a Camel mixed in with my omelet. But, here's the thing. We went down there to Dover, and when you say thunder, I mean, that is an understatement as wow. All of a sudden, the 15 of Kensley Smith just blew the doors off of the 42, and, the 42 is just starting to work on the 60 of Lee Campbell, and now Koblenz is falling back here. Now he's down 2 positions after qualifying on the outside of row number 2. But, Dover Motor Speedway, formerly, Dover Downs International, blah, blah, blah. Dover Motor Speedway, we went there. The beer was $5.50. The lemonade was, no, wait, how did that go? The beer was $5.50, the lemonade was $7.50. So I figured for every couple of beers that I drank, I was saving money over drinking lemonade.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad day. I mean,
beer was $5 and lemonade was $7.50.
Well, and I mean, if you just gotta stay away from the lemonade, you grab the lemonade and you're gonna get more thirsty. You're gonna have to drink more beer. So,
right, yeah, it was an entire experience, but just a great place to watch a race, just like the Milwaukee Mile where we are tonight. I'd love to get out there and see it in real life. I've only gotten to see it here in the virtual way. But, and I think that's something that iRacing does that's incredible. I mean, it brings racetracks that for you and I are, let's just say, not necessarily a mirage, but darn near impossible for two guys like us to get to on a regular basis, if at all, ever. And it puts it right here in your living room, basement, wherever you happen to be.
Absolutely. It's also fun, this angle that we have going now, where you kind of are in the stands-ish here and there. It gives you that kind of feeling of how it would look if you were there. And you just gotta love it. I mean, it's the closest that you can get to it, and that's what we love about it.
Taking a look here at Kensley Smith as he's chasing down Lee Campbell. He's marching toward him, but, not really cutting into him too fast. And again, that comes into that patience mark. A moment ago, he was trailing Lee Campbell by about 0.8 of a second. He's down into the 0.6 mark. So Kensley Smith, and now he just hit the half-second mark. So Kensley Smith, every couple of laps, is cutting in by about 0.1 of a second. And again, we're going to go on board with him for this next lap. And we'll actually watch the next two. And we're going to watch Kensley Smith, hit those marks just perfect. In fact, I think that may be where he's beating Leroy Campbell off exit. And I mean, he's beating Campbell off something fierce because he's closing in that fast. He's already down to 0.3 of a second as Kensley Smith makes his march toward the front. We see smoke but no fire. But you can see Kensley just hitting those marks, running his race. He's not really worried about Lee Campbell per se.
Yeah, no, and I think that was the 55 of Hoke that may have gotten a little loose there. So he might be pushing a little bit here too, as his tires may be gone. You get a little bit of loose off that corner exit, and I think this is where we're going to see those guys kind of move up a lane to, at least half a lane to get a little bit more of an arc as you see the 60 of Campbell sliding through that corner. Kensley's going to take advantage, go to the inside here, most likely clear him through the next corner.
Working lap number 37 on our way to 120. That's the total distance tonight, as now Kensley Smith slides on past Lee Campbell. Now we get to see him set sail for Truth Hoke as Brandon Honeycutt just had a brief moment of connection issue here. As we want to thank everybody for tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm Dave Regal and he's Jordan Brockell. You're watching the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series live on Sim Racing Media, your home for all things Racers Elite. We want to thank them for being our partner this season. It has been a lot of fun calling these races. And, I know I was away for a couple of weeks, of course, on vacation where you and I were, as we had a very romantic week in Miami together. And, buddy, I can't tell you what a blast that I had hanging out with you and everybody else down there in Miami.
It was an absolute wonderful thing. And the fact that you guys did what you did for me, with purchasing copies of my book and basically holding me at gunpoint to sign them for you, hoping they become collector's items. I had a little sign that said help and everything, but nobody came to my rescue.
No, in fact, your book is great. Listen, buddy, in all honesty, the book was great. Folks, of course, Jordan Brockell, our only published author here at Sim Racing Media. And your book was great, and right now it's holding up my kitchen table. So it fills two purposes, really.
I mean, it's multi-purpose.
I'm just kidding. It's really not holding up my kitchen table. It's on my bookshelf.
Well, I heard it's also good. I mean, it's not only good reading material, it's also good reading material for the bathroom. It's got a second use while you're in the bathroom. I mean, it's multi-purpose.
You know what? The thing is, folks, I mean, you have to understand that all of us here at Sim Racing Media have day jobs, and Jordan just simply happened to turn his day job into a published work, which for some of us, it's, my day job is maintenance supervisor, or my day job is, air traffic controller. No, he's a legitimate author, and buddy, congratulations on being published. I know that's probably the one of the biggest highlights of your life, and we have discussed your life ad nauseum to some degree for you, and buddy, I cannot be more proud of you, and what a great time that we had, as John Ross is having himself a great time as well, now leading Brandon Honeycutt by 4 seconds and then some. 4.2 now, as Honeycutt leads Truth Hope, Kensley Smith, Lee Campbell. That's your top 5. Leroy Koblenz, Rob Yost, Andrew Teft, Curtis Ecker, and Troy Thomas, your top 10.
Yeah, and you can see here, Andrew Teft's certainly not really stalled out, but working his way slower than earlier as he gets to a little bit of a faster crowd here with Yost. Still sitting about 4 seconds off of him. And, Kensley Smith, like you said, he just cleared Campbell, and he's going to be on his way. I think these guys are starting to kind of plateau in what they have as far as performance left in these tires. I don't imagine these guys are going to be out too terribly much longer before they're going to have to come down and get serviced.
No, and as we take a look here at some of those times that we see now, right now we see the gap times. Let's take a look here on the left side of your screen. We'll look at the best times that they were running. So we see John Ross at a 31. We see Brandon Honeycutt at 30.97, 31.01 for Truth Hope. So we're all in those low 31s until you get about mid-pack in Leroy Koblenz. Now, here's the interesting times to keep an eye on. 31.73 for John Ross, 31.85 for Brandon Honeycutt. So nearly a full second, just under a full second fall off for Brandon Honeycutt. Only about 3/4 of a second fall off for John Ross. And I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's in clean air all by his lonesome up here. In fact, he's just getting ready to put Alex Teft a lap down, as Alan Bergen already multiple laps down, sitting on pit road. But the point of the fact of the matter becomes, we're not seeing a whole lot of crazy tire fall off. So for guys like this, I think we're going to see him hang on and just do the same thing that he's been doing all season long. And I don't know how that feels as a driver per se, as we watch Leroy Koblenz haul it right underneath the 60 of Lee Campbell, nearly side by side as they start to pass fenders coming out of turn number 4. Oh, the 15. Oh, jeez, cats. The 15 locks him up coming onto pit road. Then the 42 of Leroy Koblenz gets loose and hits that inside non-safer barrier, more like a retaining wall. So Kensley Smith going to be the first one to come down under green flag conditions for pit service. Looks like he's going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast. Alex Teft now down he's going to be down a couple of laps when Ross eventually makes the decision to come on down. But Alex Teft coming off of pit road, Kensley Smith getting a little bit of repair done after that whack of the inside wall for himself. Now John Ross leads Brandon Honeycutt by 5 and then some seconds.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if Kensley wasn't even on schedule to come down there. It's just he got loose and, kind of like we've been seeing these guys getting squarely off of turn 4. And, that was kind of unscheduled there. And now as he still sits there going down multiple laps here, already, 2 laps down now, so.
As we keep an eye here, 48 laps in the books. Now, coming down this early, that's obviously going to make this a 3-stop race for these drivers. So we're going to have to start to watch that awful closely, as we're just about 12 laps shy of the midway point. And, I got to be honest, do I think that John Ross can make it another 12 laps, 11 laps now here at the line? Maybe. Let's go with maybe. But, I'm not sure where he is fuel-wise right now. It's hard to judge that, as he just laid down a 31.77. He's about to be passed now by Alex Teft, who just ran a 31.27. That's Teft's fastest lap of the race, personally.
Yeah, and my thing is, too, is if John Ross can get to the halfway point, that's gonna be very hard to overcome without a caution from these guys, because he won't even have to come down and make this a single stop. Those other guys that came down before that halfway point, they're going to have to stop again. So, I mean, even if he clutches it like crazy to get it to that halfway point, he'll be doing himself a massive service as you know, these guys are guaranteed to need another stop.
Truth Hope getting himself past Brandon Honeycutt just a moment ago. They were exchanging blows until Truth Hope finally came out the winner of that battle on lap number 48. We work lap number 51 now. John Ross, Truth Hope, Brandon Honeycutt, Leroy Koblenz, Andrew Teft, Dennis Kane, and Kirby Wainscott. Those, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 drivers are in the playoffs tonight. They're highlighted in blue. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen. And, you know, they're the ones that are hungriest to get to Phoenix next week. But it almost seems like John Ross wants to salt this thing away and make that run at Phoenix as the champion when the green flag flies.
Yeah, I mean, it'd take a lot of pressure off, without a doubt. And, you know, then he could just show up and race and not have to worry about a thing. So, you know, whatever makes your day easier is usually, you know, what we do. You know, our day at the office, we try to make it as easy as possible. That's all he's trying to do, is make his day at the office even easier.
And you know what? In fact, just as I'm saying that, I believe I did misspeak. It's not Phoenix that we're going to. That's the truck series. I was working the truck series on Tuesday night. Had that stuck in my head. But actually, next Thursday, December 19th, we're going to do 80 laps at Daytona International Speedway. That's my personal favorite racetrack, as Rob Yost registers as having crashed. And here comes the first caution of the night. That's going to trigger wholesale pit stops and get us very close to making this a one-stop race for some of these drivers. Let's take a look and see what happened with Rob Yost. Rob Yost coming into turn 3. We're going to probably watch the rear end of this thing just kick itself around. Oh, no. Locked up the front end.
It certainly tried to. It certainly wanted to bring that rear end. It certainly wanted to bring that rear end around there, as it may have been trying to slow down for a stop. Depending on what we'll hear here. No, maybe just kind of kicked out on him there, and you know, as us, we have a reaction, and with every reaction, there's another reaction, and what it was it took off, sailing to the outside wall.
Well, we're going to see them all come down pit road now, as looks like John Ross going to lead the parade down. Going to be everyone from first all the way back through 10th. So your top 10 going to come down pit road. An interesting pit road entrance here, if you notice. It's not very smooth. This is a very violent pit road entrance, as John Ross is going to slide into box number 2, just behind the double nickel of Truth Hope. The question's going to become, who's it going to be coming off of pit road first, as John Ross drops the right sides? He's just a little bit ahead of Truth Hope. Oh, this is going to be close. Here comes John Ross. Here comes Truth Hope by just a fender. It looks like Brandon Honeycutt actually beat Truth Hope off of pit road, and timing and scoring agrees.
Yeah, and see, that's going to be big, because you know, you're one car away from the lead for one, but you're also not going to have to deal with any sort of traffic on this restart. You're going to have a free start, just, you know, like the leaders. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can make it work. We saw Truth Hope able to, you know, take off and get away from John Ross, but slowly be pulled back in and lose quite a few spots. So it's going to be interesting now, because you know, you might still have to make a second stop here. You know, we might be just outside of a full window, so it's going to be interesting to see what the plans are here.
Going to go in here with the cockpit, and
I mean, you can already hear now Ross already on the the clutch.
John Ross had a bell buckle Tennessee, a town of about 500. We checked that out I think it was last week. But he is just doing enough to keep this thing moving forward. He may be trying to go that 64 lap at the line difference. Green flag in the air as we get back underway. John Ross takes off from the rest of the field. The question is, do cautions breed cautions? And so far, so good for the restart as we go on board right now with Leroy Koblenz. He's to the inside now of Lee Campbell. So Leroy and Lee going at it. Lee starting to get a little bit of an edge here over top of Koblenz. As Koblenz out of Dover, Delaware has no... Whoa!
Oh, honeycut to the outside wall.
Brandon Honeycutt just ripped off the front right fender of the 13. He stays moving forward, so we stay green flag racing, but whoa. Really having to check up is the 15 of Kensley Smith.
Yeah, and that thing's certainly right front wheel damage as well as missing the fender entirely, so that's going to be a night ender in my opinion. I mean, even if you get that thing fixed and get back out there, you're going to be several laps down at that point.
Yeah, even with a fast repair, he's going to be at least 2 laps down until he limps that thing around. So 59 laps in the books. It's going to be 60 when we come back around this time by. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He's Jordan Brockell, and this is the Racers Elite Cup Series live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch on Sim Racing Media.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. You're watching the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series live here on Sim Racing Media. We want to welcome our fans from Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure that you give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications every time you see us live here. That way you can be notified when we go on the air. Of course, 6 nights of racing a week here as we work lap number 67 of 120. John Ross has been a force to be reckoned with all night long. Dave Regal and Jordan Brockell with you. Jordan, this has been an incredible night for John Ross once again.
Yeah, it's certainly been an incredible night for him. One man it hasn't been an incredible night for is Rob Yost. As I look over and I see his comment saying it was fun until it wasn't. That's one of my favorite sayings. It was fun until it wasn't.
Well, and that's a very candid feeling from a driver who, Rob Yost has been one of those guys that I've watched all season long. And, the fact that he can throw the old LOL there at the end means that he's a good sport, and that's what you want to hear, so to speak. You don't want to hear somebody's night has been not fun, but that LOL at the end means that he's still lighthearted. And, I'm sure we'll see him next week at Daytona International Speedway as we have our season finale. And right now, Truth Hoax starting to close in on John Ross, something that I haven't gotten a whole lot of time to say this season. As this season, we've either seen Brandon Honeycutt or John Ross in victory lane as we go under caution. This time it's Lee Campbell in the 60 who's registering as having crashed. Let's see what happened with Lee. So we're going to check this out from above here. Lee Campbell coming out of turn 4. You know what? Turn 4 just seems to be like Calamity Corner. Almost, you know what? We can't even be upset with our very own Alan Bergen because everybody has done the Alan Bergen. Now, here's the interesting thing as far as strategy is gone. This means with this state, with this caution here on lap number 70. That's going to turn this into, this is the final stop of the race. Absolutely. It's going to be a 30-lap shootout here for the end. A little less than 30, obviously, when we go back to green, but certainly going to be a shootout and going to be interesting because, I mean, you're gonna essentially... We're going to essentially have just half a fuel run here. To run. With us now in the broadcast booth is John Ross. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
I've got you.
Buddy, listen, here we are. I mean, I didn't think that we were going to be at this point in the race and curious to see what you were going to do, but, Truth Hoke was really starting to harass you from the rear. What's going to be the strategy the rest of the way, buddy? We got 50 to go.
Yeah, I think he's got a fast car tonight. I think we were trying to back off. We were about 2 laps short there on that run for fuel. So we were trying to just back off and save a little bit of fuel, but he definitely has a fast machine. So we'll see what will happen here on the once we go green.
Now, you have been the domineering driver of the series this season. I mean, what do you give your credit to be this good? I mean, 6 wins on the season. The only other driver to win is Honeycutt. I mean, what are you doing there behind the race car?
We're just, putting in some test laps, making sure that we do the little things right, making sure we get plenty of room to people and, don't let the little silly things wreck us out.
What a strategy. All right, my man. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way. We're going to get you back down into the Sim Motion chat. We appreciate your time, and I'm sure we're going to see you on the podium toward the end of this piece.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. That, of course, the voice of John Ross, driver the number 44, as we get ready to go back green flag racing. The iRacing.com pace car comes out of turn number 4, dives down pit road. We hit the Geico restart zone. John Ross mashes the pedal through the floor, and here we go. Lap number 72 of 120 in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series.
Yeah, and it's crazy that pace car makes that turn it does, because we saw that one in Phoenix make a hard left turn like that and ended up in the barrels. So I mean, it's we gotta shout out the professionalism of that pace car there too.
There's some times where I feel like the pace car leads more laps than anybody, but tonight not the case here in the Racers Elite Cup Series. These drivers have done one heck of a job keeping it moving forward. I mean, you know, a couple of things bite us in the can every now and then. As now we look further back, here's Brandon Honeycutt on the recovery drive, working his way around Dennis Kane. And now we see him start to put Leroy Koblenz in the crosshairs, and we're going to go on board now with the 13 out of Elizabethton, Tennessee. He starts to draw right in on the 42. And, oh, there goes Curtis Ecker. Oh, and we go under caution.
And I feel like that's my fault because I just said the pace car didn't do what the pace car did at Phoenix. Curtis Ecker is the man that did it.
Let's watch Curtis Ecker here coming out of turn number 4, doing what seems to be what everybody else has done tonight. The rear end of the car coming out of turn 4. Oh, right into those water barrels at the end of pit road.
Yeah, and I'm amazed that thing's able to drive off because, I mean, with the nose into the wall firsthand there, to then also split the barrels, that's it's impressive that that thing's still running.
A couple of drivers coming down pit road, Curtis Ecker, of course, and now Alex Teft doing the same. Maybe for just a splash and go. Maybe Teft just wants to make sure that that car has just enough to get him to the very end. Nope, he's going to get 4 tires. Why not, he says. I guess spin if you got him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's going to be at the back of the pack on the lead lap. Fresher tires than everybody, not by a ton, but still fresher tires. And, you know, it's going to be interesting here towards the end of this.
With us now is Andrew Teft. Hey, Andrew, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Buddy, listen, I mean, here we are on lap number 75. You've got yourself up into 3rd position, nothing but playoff drivers around you. What's going to be the strategy here? Because, I mean, John has just been dominating all season long.
We still got a pretty long run, so I'm going to try to save my tires and just leave it in 4th and have some drive off the corners, and maybe I can just get some clean air and kind of save my stuff for the end and make some moves.
I mean, that's one way to put it. I mean, you know, everybody's trying to figure out how to beat John Ross, and I feel like that's the name of this season for Ross and Honeycutt. But a rough ticket here, as we've had 3 cautions in the last several laps. I know that that's not indicative of this league. But good luck the rest of the way, my brother, and maybe we'll see you here on the podium toward the end of this piece.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, especially over in 3 and 4. It's like super easy to carry too much center speed, just roll in speed, and then you'll hit a bump and it'll come out from underneath you. So, but hoping for the best. Thanks, guys.
Hoping for the best as always, as we're going to send him back on into the Chicken Coop Racing stable. That, of course, the voice of our league admin, Andrew Teft, out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. As we send that back on up there. And underway, John Ross shoots to the high side of the racetrack. He wants to carry as much speed as he can, and he's really able to maneuver that machine high and then diving back low before the entry of turn number 1. Andrew Teft now sliding into P number 2 as he gets ahead of Truth Hoke and Brandon Honeycutt, who are drag racing into turn number 3. As they roll through, it looks like the double nickel gets a little too tight, nearly making contact as the 3 of Troy Thomas and the 42 of Leroy Koblenz. And now drag racing down the front stretch is the 98 and the 13 as Brandon Honeycutt and Andrew Teft start to exchange blows.
Yeah, it looks like Teft is able to kind of cut the corner, cut down to the apex of the corner, was able to kind of close up there a bit, but a little tight on the way out. But, I mean, he's still running that higher line. Had the room to move down, but certainly more comfortable on that outside line. But Truth Hoke going to take advantage of that. Oh, and as I say that, he gets loose. Only one that I think has really saved it tonight.
Yeah, the double nickel saves it coming out of turn number 4. I mean, you know, that's almost exactly what Andrew had just said, as Brandon Honeycutt now sets fast time at 30.65. John Ross beats his own fast time at 30.75, but Brandon Honeycutt runs a 1/10 of a second faster that lap. So our 2 top drivers in the points are also our 2 top drivers on the racetrack tonight, as Brandon Honeycutt experiences A little bit of a connection issue. There's the 4 of Dennis Kane getting sideways. He manages to save it, so that's 2 saves coming out of 4 for the 4 and the 55. John Ross leading the way tonight. He's got Brandon Honeycutt and Andrew Teft in tow as Leroy Koblenz and Troy Thomas round out your top 5. Troy Thomas, of course, one of our teammates here at Sim Racing Media with the old SRM logo on the back there. We're going to go on board now with Truth Hoke as he's going to ride just behind Troy Thomas. Now John Ross sets fast time at 30.63 seconds. We had one heck of a long run earlier tonight, and then that's been broken up by a little bit of a caution festival here in this third segment, if you will, of the race. As Truth Hoke now runs just behind Troy Thomas. He's trying to find a way here. He gets a little bit of a run coming out of turn number 4, holds it together and keeps that flutter on the throttle. He rolls out of turn 4 in 4th gear, shifts to 5th, and then back down to 4th. A lot of action there on those sequential shifters, Jordan.
Yeah, and with this Nextgen, there we go, Nextgen Cup car. With this Cup car having 5 gears, it allows that. Oh, as Kinsley Smith and Campbell seem to touch. Looks like Ecker's going to take advantage of that.
3 wide.
Push it 3 wide. He's going to get a 2-for-1 special there by leaping over those 2 guys there.
It's not just Tasty Cake at Wawa that are 2-for-1 this week, that's for sure.
I mean, we just saw him sideways in the barriers, and now he's back in 7th place. So, I mean, he's definitely having a little bit of a march here to the front.
Leroy Koblenz here in the 42. He's just ahead of Curtis Ecker. Brandon Honeycutt with another connection issue. We're starting to see him blink a little bit harder. Not bad enough yet to be told to get off the racetrack, but he and John Ross leading this piece now. And it's starting to get a little egregious now as John Ross leads him by 1.6 seconds and then some. And now as we haul it down the backstretch, we peek in on John Ross, who's out front. And as he comes out of turn number 4 back toward the flag stand, we're at basically, the old 35 to go.
Yeah, now after I just said my math earlier, I'm starting to realize that I said 30 to go, and we were nowhere near 30 to go at the time. So I'm realizing that my math has severely declined the older that I get.
Basically, your math is more like math.
Yeah, pretty much. Spot on.
.86 laps in the books here. John Ross leads the way. We peek back deeper into the field, and this is kind of a hornet's nest, if you will, starting to light itself off. We watch Lee Campbell try to chase down Curtis Ecker in the Jack Daniels and Cola number 19 Chevrolet Camaro. He's starting to draft up a little closer to Leroy Koblenz, where Koblenz is about to go side by side with the 3 of Troy Thomas.
Ooh, a little tight there. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a mess here with Curtis Ecker, the outside of Koblenz, Troy Thomas right in front of that, and it's just like a little bit of a hornet's nest right there of cars as Ecker gets a little bit of a little close to the wall there.
We widen things out and check out Curtis Ecker closer on the track, and as Ecker looks out the rear view, this is the Hornet that he's watching right now, and Koblenz is kind of floating around. In hockey, we'd say that he's starting to harass him on the ice, and he's definitely giving Curtis Ecker fits, as Koblenz now looks to the inside, We see some of the lights starting to come on here on the racetrack and reflect off the paint of these cars. May just be a street light, kind of an inch. Whoa, you can hear those tires starting to scream. That's going to open the door for the 42 to get right underneath the 19 and make the pass. Oh, there goes Ecker. Does he keep it pointed forward? He gets it under control.
How he managed to keep that thing under control as fully as he did, as it looks like there's somebody spun out in turn 2 right now. Looks like it's Honeycutt dropping down the standings there.
Yeah, Honeycutt here looks like he went off track altogether. Let's see what happened. Here, right on the outset of this lap, on lap number 90. Oh, he dirt tracks it, and he went sideways just as he went below the yellow line. That's what keeps us under green, and then it takes him just a few extra moments here to spin himself back around. The moment that nose would come above the yellow line would trigger the caution. It does not for the time being. So now our P2 points runner, Brandon Honeycutt, slides all the way to 12th position. He's going to have a long night to try to make up that distance.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just going to have to basically hope that he didn't hurt those tires too badly, that he can recover enough. It looks like Kensley Smith coming down pit road now.
Oh,
I almost wonder
Smith
if
must have caught some wall. Look at the inside nose part of the 15.
Yeah, I'd almost bet that he caught something and just brought it down.
Well, you certainly don't paint the car with scratches on it. Unless you do, in which case I'm sorry.
I feel like I should have a paint scheme where I just go ahead and paint the scratches on it already, get it out of the way.
That's like those little decals you can pick up at AutoZone with the gunshots on them. Of course, if you want to park in South Philly, you can get real gunshots.
Well, certainly you can get some gunshots that way. I mean,
Be down in South Philly on Saturday night for the Philadelphia Wings home opener. Lacrosse
Kensley
season's back,
Smith,
baby.
Kensley Smith around on the apron there, right where Honeycutt was a few laps ago. Looks like probably on his way out of pit road. Looped it around, trying to stay on the lead lap.
Oh. Let's see where we get this.
Oh. Almost sounded like he downshifted.
He might have. Let's check this one more time. We'll go on board with Kensley. Nearly made contact with the 13. And you nailed that one.
You heard those revs shoot sky high there. Can't say I've never done it, unfortunately.
John Ross, Truth Hoke, Andrew Teff, Troy Thomas, Leroy Koblenz. That's your top 5. As we work lap number 96, it's officially 25 to go here. No, wait. No, I did it.
You said 25.
Yeah, I said 25.
We're good.
That? We're good. It's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good. Sorry. That movie has so many lines from it that they just pull them out of nowhere.
Brethren, what up with the shizzle thynism?
Oh, man.
John Ross leads the way. He's the Pied Piper of the Milwaukee Mile. He's followed by Truth Hoke. A little battle breaking out here with Andrew Teft holding off Troy Thomas. And as we go on board with Troy, we can see just how tight things are here on the racetrack. The Boone, North Carolina native trying to get ever closer to Andrew Teft, but Andrew is not going to be he's not going to be harassed by the likes of Troy Thomas. He's going to continue to hit those marks, save that fuel as Troy tries to get as close to the low side as he can and try to wind up these RPMs coming down the front stretch. Me personally, I don't think that he has it to get around Andrew Teft.
No, certainly I don't think he does, but I'd like to chalk up that, Andrew Teft might as well be just as hard to pass as one Ryan Newman. Andrew can make something that's not really handling the way that he wants to and make it fast still, and then also make it a a hassle for you to try to get around, which is, I mean, that's the recipe for a good racer. Be difficult to pass and have a good strategy.
Well, and Andrew Teft is still here holding off Troy Thomas on lap number 99. So as we get closer to that 20 to go mark, I got to be honest, I'm starting to be curious. Do we see another caution fly before the checkered flag comes out?
Well, I think around lap 110, you're going to start seeing some more people get a little bit more squirrely as these tires get to pretty much the end of their life cycle here. And, you know, it's going to cause some of these guys to have a couple of those incidences where they get onto that bump that, you know, a little bit of a bump that, you know, Teft was talking about during one of those caution breaks. And, you know, with the more worn down tires, it's going to be harder to keep the car under you.
But keep the car under him, he does, as now we start to look at these times again. This deep in here, I mean, everybody coming down essentially on lap number 69. Alex Teft came down on 74 as well as Curtis Ecker. But I don't think Alex Teft has what it's worth as far as, you know, tires and grip to even try to get up here and challenge his brother in truth.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you're going to have to use up a ton of stuff to get around him in the first place that, you know, you do get by him. He's saved enough that once you do get by him, he just goes right back by you.
"19 laps to go here from the Milwaukee Mile. Dave Regal and Jordan Brockel with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth just outside the city of Brotherton of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We'd like to welcome everybody in. And we want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be, and however you may be listening. It's been a great night here. As Mash on the Garage says, let's go Truth and Troy. And while we mull that over for Truth Hoke and Troy Thomas, who are currently separated, one is running in second position. There's Truth Hoke in the double nickel, kind of all by his lonesome. And of course also Troy Thomas and Troy running in fourth position. So right now, the Mash on it Garage, both of their drivers here in the top 5. When we come back, it's going to be the finale here. Oh, we're going to keep it right here. Just kidding. I don't think I've ever seen Andrew Teft drive this defensively.
We got caution.
As we go under caution for the fourth time tonight for the number 4. And here we are. Let's just watch this right quick. And there he is, Calamity Corner. Very interesting, if you will. So, folks, for the time being, that's going to be the way the ball bounces. We're going to step aside and pay some bills one final time. And when we come back, it will be the finale of this race here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here under green here from the Milwaukee Mile. Curtis Ecker currently in the lead. Truth Hoke following in tow. Curtis Ecker, I mean, just was in the wall not too long ago, but he now leads as our the guy that's dominated all night. John Ross is kind of stuck in a little bit of a box here.
Yeah, John Ross here in the 44. This is the deepest that he's been all night. He runs in fourth, so the 4 in 4.
Oh, and it looks like Koblenz. I think it was Koblenz that went around there.
We stay green. 12 laps to go now. Curtis Ecker leads the way. John Ross trying to get around Alex Teft and Truth Hoke. I'm telling you right now, Jordan, this is going to be the battle to watch. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to John Ross if these two drivers want to try to keep him back there. Dave Regal and Jordan Brockel with you live on Sim Racing Media, bringing you all the action. We want to thank you for tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and for welcoming us into your homes, onto the phones, however you may be listening and however you may be watching. Now 11 laps to go, and they're just making it impossible for the 44 to try to get back up there.
Yeah, no, he's stuck in a box, and I mean, he's probably screaming right now that he's stuck in a glass case of emotion and can't get out, as we're going to be going 10 to go this time by. And for someone like Curtis Ecker and Andrew Teft, you know, they haven't won this year. It's all been Ross and Honeycutt. So, oh, Teft clears the way. Honeycutt spins in the back too. We're under caution for the 5th time tonight here. After looks like both Alex Teft and Honeycutt both lose their way. And, you know, that's something that Curtis Ecker was not wanting to see by any means whatsoever. I mean, he had to lead. He would have put Ross in dirty air. Would have made it a struggle.
Just going up here high and wide. There's the 43 getting loose. He thinks he said, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. Wow.
And that's one of those things with Andrew Teft's case there. You know, you think you got it back under full control. You push the gas down, and all of a sudden it decides that, you know, it's not ready to go. And it wants to take off on you, and you got to resave it. And it's one of those things where you're playing, you know, it's almost like the whiskey throttle of a NASCAR.
Do you want to explain to me what a whiskey throttle is? Because this is new to me.
You don't know what a whiskey... So a whiskey throttle is a dirt bike term where you pull the throttle down and you pull too much throttle, so you throw yourself back, so you try to let off the throttle, and then you just kind of sit there and rock back and forth, and as you're rocking back and forth, you're pulling the throttle, you're adding it, you're accelerating, decelerating, so then you're just stuck there in this back and forth motion. So with a car, it's kind of the same thing, where the movement of the car is forcing you to push the pedal back down. So you push the pedal down, it gets loose, you let off, and you just kind of sit there and bobble back and forth.
Making a special appearance here into the broadcast booth is my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler out of Port St. Lucie, with 8 laps to go. Matty, I am so glad you're here, brother.
I just had to bomb the booth. I wanted to join you on this broadcast so bad, brother, but I just want to come in and say hi. And it looks like you guys are in the middle of a hot one, deep in it. There's already 113 laps on the board. And Dave, I got to say, I miss working with you, man. I just wanted to come up here, say hi, and check in on my work wife. It's been a hot minute.
It's definitely been a hot minute. I mean, listen, buddy, a lot of things going on here at Sim Racing Media that we're excited to reveal come the beginning of the new year. And, buddy, I miss the heck out of you. I mean, look, Jordan's all right, but he doesn't do that thing that you do that makes me roll my eyes back in my head.
You know, it's like the song Doing That Thing You Do from the movie in the 90s. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Only you do that voodoo that you do so well, my friend.
Hey, everyone plays a role, right?
Absolutely, and believe me, I've got enough roles to keep everybody employed. As we've got 7 laps to go here. Curtis Ecker with the race lead over John Ross, who's been dominant all season long here in the Racers Elite Cup Series. They're going to be side by side as they get ready to come into the Geico restart zone. The iRacing.com pace car getting ready to make the hard left turn down pit road. Looks like Curtis Ecker going to hover the foot just above the throttle. He's going to drop the hammer, and off we go.
Yeah, he's going to have to do something that nobody's done all night, and that's hold off the fast-charging John Ross, as well as Truth Hoke, who's right there in tow as well, right behind the 44. But he's got a different battle going on right now with Alex Teft.
You know, believe you me, right now, Curtis Ecker's only purpose in life is to try to make that Chevrolet Camaro 4 wide. He's got to hold off John Ross. He doesn't have a whole lot of time that he's got to do it, but believe me, as he looks up at the clock, that's like that 2-minute warning in football. 2-minute warning in football and 5 to go in NASCAR are a lot alike. There's still a heck of a lot of race to go here, as now John Ross peeks to the inside. Curtis Ecker starts to drift up the racetrack. He comes down the backstretch, holding off John Ross with 5 to go.
5 to go here as he's holding off John Ross, who's always the boss here at this racetrack. And just as I say that, he goes hard eating on the bottom. Eckert blows the corner. We got problems as both cars go helicopter mode. And Dave, right on cue, I invoke the broadcaster's curse anytime I'm with you up here in the booth. It's good to see that some things haven't changed. Unfortunately for those two drivers, well, things just got ugly.
Yeah, things just got uglier than a single girl at prom, that's for sure. As all of a sudden, it looks like the 19 got loose as the 44 got by. And my goodness, that is going to be the end of the night now for the 43 and the 19 with just a few laps to go. That's going to trigger NASCAR overtime, folks, so we've got some bonus racing coming your way.
Certainly going to be bonus racing here. Getting some more racing that we didn't necessarily pay for here.
That's all right. That's what we're here for. And now the work wife, Matt Metler, gets to settle in here. Are you going to hang out with us for the rest of the race, buddy?
Hey, I got a little bit of time. Why not? Like I said before, man, it's felt like forever since I've actually had a chance to call a race with you. And hey, Jordan, Mr. Hammer Time himself up here in the booth, why not? I'll hang out for a little overtime action here in Racers Elite.
Now, folks, what we mean by NASCAR overtime is that when we go back green flag racing, we're going to have 2 laps to go. The green flag's going to fly, and we're going to race around back to the white flag. If the caution flag should fly between the waving of the green flag and the white flag, we will rack them, stack them, and do it all over again. However, once the white flag flies, we will race around back to checkers, and the next flag will end the race, whether that flag is checkered or yellow. So, folks, we've got a lot of racing left to go here. That's going to be John Ross, Truth Hoke, Andrew Teft, Lee Campbell, and Alex Teft, your top 5, as these drivers get ready to go 2x2 Noah's Ark style and get back into line. You know, Matt, this league, and you and I have been associated with these guys for a very long time. Of course, Matt, one of the premier drivers, if you will, of the 311, making an appearance here in the booth. You know, you've seen these guys from the racing surface. What do you expect to see out of them once the green flies here?
Dave, is a great question, and I expect to see one thing: all-out warfare on the racetrack. Give and take is out the window. That is done, dusted, a thing of the past. I look for John Ross, drivers like Truth Hoke, And don't count out Andrew Teft here. He is always around and finds his way to the front of these things, especially in these overtime situations. I'm taking that rear view mirror, I'm throwing it out the window, I'm gritting my teeth, I'm going to manhandle that steering wheel, and I'm not going to lift until I got a checkered flag.
Looks like they're going to extend it. I thought we were going to go back green flag racing. They've extended the caution laps one more time. We were getting ready to go back green. Let's see if they turn the lights out this time by. They do. And so tell us a little bit, for as we've got one lap left here, what have you been doing with yourself lately, Metler?
Well, I'm back in the DJ scene. So, as you know, Dave, I took some time off there. So I'm back DJing professionally a couple nights a week. As we're in the NASCAR off season, I've kind of dialed back broadcasting. I do a couple races, here and there. But right now, it's kind of just recovery and recharge. As you know, the NASCAR season right around the corner here come February.
Yeah, I feel like, and Jordan and I have talked about this before. I feel like as soon as the regular season, as soon as the NASCAR season ends, we're waiting for the regular season to restart again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and you really don't get a lot of time off, and you have to be passionate about what you do up here in the broadcast booth. I know I am, you are, and Jordan included here. As we lose that iRacing.com pace car, these drivers rack stack ready to rock and roll, and John Ross, he's going to put it through the floorboards as we climb back up the gearbox here for overtime racing here at the Milwaukee Mile.
You see Andrew Teft inside of Truth Hoke here, and like I said earlier on in this broadcast, he was going to be someone up here fighting for these podium spots. He gets a little tight there, washes up the track, forcing Hoke to go up a little bit as well.
As we come out of turn number 4, the white flag waves. We're racing back to checkers. The popsicle sticks go down. John Ross continues his dominance of this league as we work now the final lap of the race. Truth Hoke side by side with Andrew Teft. Now Teft slides right in front of him in the McDonald's machine. And now Andrew Teft runs P2. Truth Hoke in third. Lee Campbell and Alex Teft round out your top 5. But John Ross, who has won 6 races this season, gets ready to notch that 7th on his bedpost. And the 44 brings home the checkered flag. He's followed on the podium by Truth Hoke and Andrew Teft.
I'll tell you what, Dave. John Ross was absolutely next level on that restart. He lit that Saturn V rocket underneath the hood of that Dark Horse, and he checked out from the competition, putting up probably some of the fastest laps of the race. I don't have timing and scoring up. That was a clinic. And how about Truth Hoke coming home with a solid second-place finish, and Andrew Teft right on cue there in third. These guys always excite, especially in overtime, and it was a pleasure to jump up here and join you two in the booth momentarily.
Yes, thank you, Matt. We appreciate you. Listen, don't forget the phone works both ways. You can call a guy. As John Ross, to Matt's point, Jordan, John Ross just laid down the fastest lap of the race on that final lap.
Yeah, no, whatever he was saving there for the end, he certainly put it all onto the track right then and there to pull off that 30-60. And, he started that restart there on the front row in first position, and he did not give it back in the slightest. So once again, John Ross, multiple wins this season, continues his domination, stealing another one here with, Curtis Eckert just kind of being right then and there, was going to be able to maybe play spoiler here, get a different win, but, with that caution coming out and kind of throwing a wrench there in that plan, he now, John Ross takes over again and wins once again.
Yeah, and to your point, Jordan, that's why I always say John Ross is boss, especially in these clutch overtime situations. Hopefully some of these fans at home watching here on the live stream took some notes. That is how you get it done in Milwaukee late in the race. I got to step aside. I got another broadcast I got to get ready and prep for, but it was great to see you and Jordan as well, and hopefully we'll do it again soon, Dave.
Love you, mean it, and I will chat with you later. And right now, the man, the myth, the legend, John Ross, who just notched the 7th win on his season, sits here at the start-finish line. Hey, John, it's Dave. You got me?
I've got you.
Buddy, listen, what a great finish to this race. I mean, listen, you kind of got buried back there in fourth position for a little while, and it was interesting to watch you try to cut through the traffic, but like a hot knife through butter, you managed to do so and check off another win here for the season. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel pretty good because, these short tracks are really not my forte. I'm much more of a 1.5-mile guy, but we felt good coming into it. The track was super hot. I think it was like got up to 102 degrees or something like that. So it was pretty hot, pretty slippery out there. We really enjoyed that first run, and we were just trying to make sure we didn't slide the tires on exit, trying to be good through the apex of the turn. And yeah, kind of back there at the end, I knew some people were going to try to. And to be honest, I think maybe if Curtis I think he had 30-something lap old tires there on that last restart. I believe if he was on 2, he would have been able to put up a really good fight there at the end. But we got lucky. I think he got a little bit loose coming off of that turn. And then if you can get out front and get that jump, you just got to take off and run away.
Well, and take off and run away you did. You managed to run your fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race on the final lap, 30.6 seconds. So obviously you were saving just a little bit to put on there at the end. So congratulations to you. Next week we head into Daytona International Speedway for our final week to crown a champion. And for some reason, I feel like all bets are going to be on you.
I would think so. I feel like with these 3 wins in the playoffs, I think we're in really good shape at Daytona. I don't think we have to do a whole lot. So I think we just need to start it and have a good race. And you never know at Daytona. So that's kind of where we wanted to be, was in a much better position going in to where we didn't have to win that race.
For sure. Well, listen, congratulations once again. Before we cut you loose, you know how I do it here on Sim Racing Media. Let us know who you need to thank and who helped you get it done tonight on the 44.
Yeah, well, first of all, Dave, you know how we do it. We'd like to thank you and Jordan and everybody. I see Matt was in the booth there. We'd like to thank all of you guys there to putting on these broadcasts. I think they are absolutely fantastic. So want to do that. Andrew with Racers Elite, I know that we're coming down to the wire here at this series, but they have a lot of series. They run almost every night. So any type of vehicle you like. So they do a fantastic job. Andrew does a great job. And then my Sim Motion teammates, Russ and Leroy, really helped me out throughout the season. I can't thank them enough. And then our sponsor is US Sim Motion. So anything Sim Rig related, go to their website, type in 802 at checkout, you get 5% off.
All right, my friend, congratulations. We'll see you next week at Championship Week at Daytona International Speedway.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And Jordan, I believe you have with you now down on pit road, I think you have Truth Hoke with you.
Truth Hoke, it's Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy, brother?
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, this time I got you in the booth. I got to interview you instead of just palling around with you. You had a fast one tonight, and certainly could have, taken this win here. But, what more could you have needed there just to get by that 44 machine tonight?
Him to get really loose.
Well, we saw a lot of y'all getting loose off of that turn 4, and was it kind of noticeable, or was it more of like it just kind of reach out and grab you, kind of like a cobra?
If you got in the gas just a hair too soon, it'd reach out like a cobra. It'd reach out and snatch you.
Well, you certainly keep it under you. You wrangled it for a play on words there, but you go into Daytona, going to be a different kind of racing. The pack racing, always fun. You going in with the mindset of just foot to the floor, or you got a strategy. What's your plans for next week, brother?
Just to try to survive. If I can survive the whole thing, I might have a decent.
Yeah, certainly surviving is going to be a big thing at a track like Daytona, and it's usually easier said than done. And before we send you on your way and let you think it over and mull it over on what you're going to do, you got to have some help tonight, and you want to shout out some of those guys.
Yeah, I like to thank my wife and my team, the Outsiders, for throwing the guys, Andrew for putting this on, and SRM for broadcast, you and Dave for broadcasting and all. And just to let you know, man, this is fun as hell. I'm It was. And I just enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a ton of fun trying to drive these things out of these corners and even into these corners. A little bit loose, a little bit tight. Got to really finesse the throttle here tonight, and congrats again on the second. And maybe next week we'll be talking to you again, maybe even as a winner.
Let's hope.
All right, brother. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care.
That the voice of the double nickel, Truth Hoke, as we finish him up tonight. And finally, last but not least on our podium, Andrew Teff, driver, the number 98. Hey, Andrew, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, buddy, listen, another good finish to another great race here in the Racers Elite Cup Series. I mean, listen, you guys managed to put on one heck of a run every week. And as the track temperature got up there, cars started to get a little loose coming out of turn 4 that almost seemed to be Calamity Corner all night long. How were you able to keep the 98 underneath you?
I was kind of giving up some time over there, just trying to keep a straight launch off of 4. So, like, if you tried to pin it down and put too much wheel into it, it was easy. It was easy just to spin toward those pit road barrels, and I didn't want to do that. So I was kind of entering low and drifting up, and then turning down late and trying to get a straight launch off, and just be less at risk of that.
Yeah, I think some of the time that I was watching you guys, I mean, you especially, you were keeping it in 4th gear, and that gets you a great, drive off of there. But, for some of these drivers, it seems like they were just really struggling. But that's what makes the Milwaukee Mile unique. And next week we turn our attention to, of course, the world center of racing, Daytona International Speedway. What are you looking forward to as we get ready to roll there?
Yeah, I always run pretty well there. We've got a really great team. We stick together, even if one of us falls off. So normally we either all wreck together or all finish well together. And I guess you just never know.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who do you need to tip your cap to for helping you get it done on the 98 tonight?
You guys, as always, congrats to John. That's awesome. He gave me some tips on the restarts and clutch and all that kind of stuff. I got to work on it, though, so I appreciate that. I want to thank Kensley for the new paint scheme and everybody that shows up to race and tunes in to watch, and our servicemen and women. I might have said that already, but it's worth saying it twice. And my family and anybody that wants to check us out, just head on over to racerselite.com.
All right, my friend, we will see you next week at Daytona International Speedway, where we will crown a champion. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Well, Jordan, another one in the books for the Racers Elite Cup Series, and tonight we close the book on all the other races for the season, and we focus on the championship next week.
Yeah, and it's certainly going to be an interesting one. You go to places like Daytona, you've got to expect the inevitable at a place like Daytona, and you've just got to survive. And again, as I said in my interview, it's much easier said than done to survive a place like Daytona. I mean, you can be leading, you could be in the mid pack, you could be in the back, and all of a sudden your race can change drastically for the better or most likely for the worst. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yes, sir, without a doubt. Well, before we get out of here, let's take one final look at our results here from the Milwaukee Mile. We've got John Ross. He brings home the checkered flag, and he's joined on the podium by Truth Hoke and Andrew Teft. Alex Teft comes home in 4th with Leroy Koblenz rounding out your top 5. Dennis Kane comes home in 6th. Kirby Wainscott and Lee Campbell finish 7th and 8th, with Troy Thomas and Brandon Honeycutt making up the remainder of your top 10. And the best of the rest, Curtis Ecker in 11th, Kensley Smith in 12th, Rob Yost in 13th, and Alan Bergen, somebody had to do it, and finished dead last in the field. He beats everybody to the beer stand tonight in the 00 for the Outsiders. So for myself, Dave Regal, and my broadcast partner extraordinaire, Mr. Jordan Brockel, and of course our special guest, Matt Metler, who checked in with us for just a few moments. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And thank you for making us a part of your evening and for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be listening and wherever you may be watching us from. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.